What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Let me get the vibe right in here. All right, here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Heat Check. Let me go ahead and move my camera over just a taste. There we go. So I can be right in the middle. Are we good? Are we good? Are we good? All right, perfect. We are good. We are great. It is another Friday night. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Heat Check. That's right, live beat review show. It is a Friday night. I am feeling lovely. I just had a nice coffee. Yes, it is late at night, and I just had a nice coffee because it's my only vice is caffeine. So I indulge heavily. So enough of that. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Heat Check Live Beat Review Show right here on YouTube and multi streaming on Twitch and on Kick as well. So we got more reach going on. So if you're not familiar with what's going on right now, you just see me on the screen with this Atlanta shirt on. You're like, what's going on? Who's this guy with the sunglasses indoors? Well, my name is Desmond A. I'm a music producer. Some could call me music producer slash engineer. Been doing music for over 12 years now. Been in music essentially my whole life, man. Just played the violin as a kid, played the trumpet as a kid, made beats for my friends when I was junior high, sold beats in junior high. That's back when I had the MPC 1000. So Unc got a little age on him. So yeah, also got placements on networks such as E-Television, Bravo, Sci-Fi Channel, multiple documentaries, work with plenty of talented music producers, mostly indie artists out here in the Atlanta area. And yes, we do have a lot of talented indie artists. So if you are thinking about moving, Atlanta, we're kind of full. That's the saying that we say out here in Atlanta. Atlanta, we full. We full. Go to Miami or something. Atlanta, we full. But nah, we got a lot of talented people out here in the Atlanta area. And I have produced slash and or recorded with plenty of them. So that's what qualifies me to give you guys the feedback, the good game that's going to help you in your music production journey. So how does the heat check work? How exactly does it work? What's the format? What exactly is going on? So how the heat check works, you send beats over, I review it, but the guidelines, we gotta get to the guidelines. What are the guidelines? The guidelines for the heat check is we don't snap, we don't roast, we don't say that's a trash beat. We say, hey, work on that kick or work on your drums. You know, the melody sounds off key. Could you try fixing that? I got way too much reverb. So we give people real actionable steps that they can use and implement into their music production journey, so that way they have steps. They have real actionable steps to put in their toolbox mentally, and they know exactly where to go. And this show is for you guys. It's not for me. It's for you guys. So if somebody has something going on with their music, you say, hey, so-and-so got some great loops. You should check them out. Go ahead and promote it in the chat. You can say, so-and-so got some great drums. Go ahead and promote it in the chat. I'm not a hater. I'm not gatekeeping. I got my own loops that I have on my website. Let me go ahead and make sure that that's on the screen. I have my own loops that I have on my website. I have my own FL Studio Patcher plugins. You know, I got all those good things, so you can see that at the top of the screen, hopefully. All right, so yeah, that's what the heat check is. We don't snap, we don't roast, just real actionable steps. So, this is Friday. What's gonna happen, guys? So, for this particular show, and this particular show only, today is going to be a special event show. So you may be asking, why is it going to be a special event show? So it is Labor Day weekend here in the United States. quite a few people are traveling. Quite a few people are with family. They're moving and grooving around. So we've had a very low producer turnout this particular weekend, this particular Friday, because it's, of course, Labor Day weekend. I somewhat expected it, but due to the low turnout, I've went ahead and opened the form. Let me double check, make sure the form is reopened so you guys can submit beats live. So everyone knows I'm pretty hardcore on that. I don't care who you are. If you come in and you're like, hey, I want to submit beats, I go ahead and shut you down. I don't really care who you are. Got to have structure so I can keep the thing going. But I went ahead and reopened the form for the next about 30 or so minutes. So if you're live watching the show, you want to submit up to 2 beats, you can go ahead and do that for the next 30 minutes. And I will add you in to the queue. So that's just something I'm doing for this week's show. Is Labor Day weekend. Not too many people got their beats in, and that's what we're gonna do. So let me make sure I put that on the screen for any producers who are going to be dropping in, so they know that they can go ahead and submit their beats. Let me go ahead and change the screen over to FL Studio. All right, there we go. So we're in FL Studio, and let me get the text right here on the screen. So everyone knows, free submissions open for next 30 minutes. So all the producers who come in, they can see what's going on and what's happening. Then you can also see all the other goodies that I have. So some people who pop in are gonna be really happy because everyone knows I crack a pretty strong whip when it comes to my closed submissions. So free submissions open for next 30 minutes. Submit beat at DesmondASounds.com/review. So anyone who comes in the process, you guys will have the option to submit your beats live. So you guys got me for a little bit extra today due to the low turnout. So, but I do have to say, guys, it is Friday. I've gone through Fridays and Saturdays. Fridays and Sundays with the Heat Check show. If we continue to get low turnout on weekends that are not holiday weekends, I'm gonna have to kind of do like you see other producers on YouTube do and go on hiatus for a couple months, because if you guys aren't showing up and getting value from it, then I'll just go on hiatus, and I'll continue to give you my my podcast. I'll continue to give you the video on demands, the free tutorials, plugin reviews, all that stuff on YouTube. But if you guys aren't showing up to the Heat Check live beat review, then it's just something I'll do more sporadically, like maybe twice a month. I've done this for each and every week consistently for like the past almost like 5 months now. Every week you guys have gotten me. So if you guys are seeing me a little too much live, then I'll just pull it back. It's kind of like dating, see some people texting each other too much. You get too comfortable. You see each other too much, sometimes you got to pull back so you can miss each other a little bit. And once again, if we continue to have low turnout, maybe the next 2 weeks, then I'm going to go ahead and pull back and do this live stream like about twice a month. I can do that twice a month. I just prefer to do things weekly to be consistent. So enough of that rant, enough of that ramble. Also want to let you guys know, of course, you guys have the option to book me for one-on-one coaching, DesmondASounds.com/coaching. If you want to do a coaching call where I help you with your production, you got questions about life, you got questions about making beats, mixing, recording, dealing with recording artists. I've seen just about everything. There's grays underneath this hat, so I've seen quite a bit, so I can help you guys not make mistakes that I've made and really save you time, because They say, a fool makes his own mistake and a wise man learns from somebody else's mistakes. So you can learn from my mistakes by booking a one-on-one coaching call, and you could do that. So shout out to you, the officials in the YouTube chat. I'm doing a special edition for the next 30 minutes. You can submit your beats at DesmondASounds.com/review, and I will add you to the queue. So this is something I do not usually do. It's usually shut down when the live stream starts, but you can see right here on the screen, DesmondASounds.com/review. And I believe in the description also there's a link you can click on. Since you're joining me from YouTube, I'll go ahead and add you to the list. So after you submit your beats, just come back to the chat, say I've sent my beats, and then I'll go ahead and download it and add you here to the list that you see on the FL Studio screen. So I'm excited, ladies and gentlemen. This is something I usually don't do, allowing live beat submission. It still says closed. Okay, thanks for letting me know, the officials. Let me double check here. Let me test it. Let's see. Thanks for letting me know. Sounds.com/review. Thanks for letting me know. Let me make that update there. Open form. Open this form to new responses. Let's make sure we are open. We are good to go. All right, perfect. I got it back open so you can go ahead and make your submission. Let me get my email pulled up so I can download everything. All right, got my email pulled up. Got the form reopened. So we are good to go. So the officials, you can go ahead and make your submission. I went ahead and opened up the form. Thank you so much for letting me know. Hey, we all make mistakes. So it's reopened now. If you just refresh your browser, click on the link, you'll be good to go. You can submit your beats, and I'll go ahead and add you to the list. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, of course, you can go to DesmondASounds.com to go ahead and get the FL Studio Patcher plugins that I have. I have some crazy FL Studio Patcher plugins. The one I'm most proud of is called Super Clipper. It is killing, it is crushing the FL Studio Soft Clipper. I'll put my name on it. I've been to conferences and I've met these software companies that do all the plugins and stuff like that. So if you see me in the next one and ImageLine is there, ImageLine, holla at me, because FL Studio Software Super Clipper that I got, you know what I'm saying? All right, thanks, officials. I am going to download your beat now. Let's take a look. All right, the officials. Let me go ahead and add you to the list. So, all right, I'm just going to drag and drop you in right here. Right there, bam. All right, so the officials, I got you locked in. Let me make sure I add your name here. So you are going to be officials. You're going to be after our first couple submissions. So I got you locked in there, officials. So you're going to be after our first couple submissions here. They submitted earlier in the week, but I got you locked in. So thank you so much for submitting to the heat check. And I'm super excited to review your music, man. You're in the right place. You're in the right place. I not only produce, but I record, so I got a lot of experience on knowing what artists like and what they don't like. So you get that vantage point of special reasons why artists say skip, even though the beat is fire. So thank you so much, officials. All right. So it looks like we're ready to go. We're ready to go, ladies and gentlemen. Let's go ahead and start from the tippy top here. We got Drakeo 2 Keys with Full Horizon. This is our first submission of the heat check. It's by Drakeo 2 Keys, Full Horizon. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mute my mic We're going to take a listen to the beat. Then we're going to give our feedback. So let's go ahead and do that. Let me mute my mic. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was the first submission of the night. That was Drakeo 2 Keys with Full Horizon. Now, Drakeo 2 Keys, I feel like, okay, in the beginning, I liked the pianos. I was getting like OG Mako kind of vibes. I thought it was gonna come in and I was gonna hear like a real crazy drop that was really gonna set me off and set the thing off right. But um like the drum beat was I couldn't even catch a groove. You had reverse sounds in there. I couldn't it was throwing me off. There was really no format to the beat. I could typically tell when people are in the beginning of their producer journey and they're just learning things. But to me, this beat kind of sounds like you were just kind of like messing around, if that makes sense. It's like I really didn't get a sense that you're trying to. I didn't get a sense that you're trying to. It's like I can typically hear something like a good drum beat or a good drum bounce or a good snare, but I really feel like you weren't really trying in that beat, man. I just kind of feel like you were just playing around, to be honest. Um, Once again, I do understand. I hear a beat and I can tell, okay, this producer is just learning how to make a beat, but I mean, honestly, you know, I would just say start with if getting your DAW and then just try to make yourself a good drum groove. Try to make yourself a good drum bounce and start there. Don't worry about instruments. Just spend about the next month just making drum patterns, making drum beats, and that's it. Don't worry about anything else. Just keep making drum beats, drum patterns, and then you can move on to the next step. But I want you to just be able to get a good rhythm first, if that makes sense. Yeah. So scrap everything, learn how to make a good drum beat for about a month, and then we'll visit the next steps. But yeah, okay. But you have another submission here. Drakeo 2 Keys. You have another submission here. This one's called Star. So let's listen to this one. Let me see what I get from this one. and then I'm gonna give you some feedback. So let's see how this one sounds, and then I'll probably be able to get just a bit of a better assessment of where you're at in the production journey. Because that one kind of felt like the homeboy kind of playing around on stuff, if that makes sense. So let's go ahead and take a listen to your second submission, and then let's see where you're at. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was the second submission of the night by Drakeo or Draco 2 Keys 5-star. Now, that beat, I felt like I was listening to a producer on the beginning of their music production journey. The first beat felt like the homeboy, we're in the studio, the homeboy just kind of gets up and starts hitting the keys and it's like, yo, bro, I can make beats too. And he comes through and he just starts like kind of messing around with stuff. You're like, bro, stop. Like stop, bro. Like chill, sit in the back and, take pictures for us for Instagram. That's the kind of vibe I got on the first beat. The second beat, you was able to get a decent sample loop going, and then you had some drums going. The drums sounded like they were very much locked on the grid. The kick was like didn't really fit the music. There was really not much of a structure to it. You had some structure, but not really too much. But this beat actually sounds like, okay, this is somebody who's in the beginning of the music production journey. They downloaded a DAW and now they're just kind of messing around and figuring out what's what. So I would say just continue to make beats, watch tutorials, and the fact that you even submitted your music to the heat check, I want to shout out to you, because I know in the beginning of my production journey, I wouldn't have been confident to send my music out at the very, very beginning of my music production journey. I wouldn't have felt right, but you have the courage to do so. You have the courage to get the feedback, which tells me that you actually want to go somewhere. So that's why on the heat check, I don't condone snapping. I don't condone roasting. I condone constructive feedback, sharp, constructive, direct feedback, but we're not going to clown and roast and do all that goofy stuff. So shout out to you. Continue to make beats. But what I said still stands. I want you to take some time and just make drum beats by themselves. No music, just make drums and just start making them sound good. Listen to type beat producers that you kind of want to get to in the future and pick up little tips and tricks from them and just do drum beats. That's all I want you to do is drum beats. So that's pretty much it. All right. Now moving forward, but shout out to you, Draco Two Keys. I appreciate you for submitting. Now moving forward, we have Dancing Main. Dancing Main is a frequent submitter to the Heat Check, and Dancing Main is also on my Discord. So ladies and gentlemen, if you didn't know, I do have a Discord. We are near 100 members, and I am very excited about that. So if you can, I believe in the description, there's a link to my Discord that you all can check out. If you're on YouTube, check that out. Join the Discord and get all the great goodies that I have there. We have some very talented loop makers in my Discord. There's a channel called Your Loops, and man, those guys do not play with them loops. I'm telling you. So go there, check out all the channels. Make sure you go to my Discord. Link is in the description here on YouTube. So without further ado, we're going to get to Dancing Main. His first submission of the night is Next Second I'm Gone. So I'm going to go ahead and mute my mic. We're going to listen to the submission from Dancing Main. Then I'm going to go ahead and give my feedback. Yo, what's going on, J-Zo? What's going on, J-Zo? J-Zo on the beat is in the building. What's up, J-Zo? Okay, you just submitted. Appreciate that, man. So let me go ahead and get through Dancing Main's submission. Then I'm going to go ahead and add you to the list, J-Zo. So thank you so much for submitting. But let me get through Dancing Main. Then I'll go ahead and add you to the list, J-Zo. But I got you locked in. So ladies and gentlemen, we're going to check out Dancing Main. Then I'm going to get my feedback. Then I'm going to add J-Zo to the list. So let's go ahead and take a listen here to Dancing Main. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, that was the first submission of the night from Dancing Main with the track Next Second I'm Gone. Shout out to you, Dancing Main. Now, Dancing Main, for that beat, I think I heard this sample. Was that the Lonnie Liston Smith sample in that beat, Dancing Main? Let me know if that was it. I thought I heard it a little bit in the background tucked away, so let me know. So yeah, Dancing Main, shout out to you. I liked the intro. I was getting like J. Cole vibes. I felt like someone could do somewhat of like a spoken word rendition on the beat, and then from there the beat drops, and then they can get into cooking and doing their whole thing. So shout out to you, Dancing Main, on that. I like the arrangement of that beat. As far as constructive feedback, Dancing Main, I'm still hearing a lot of that buzz, a lot of that distortion buzz that you use on your 808s. I think it's something that you're kind of locked into at this point. You know, I give you my feedback on it, but I still hear that 808 buzz, and it's kind of crushing the sub bass of your 808. So your 808 is not really moving. So if I crank that beat up on my Atom speakers here, then the subwoofer is not going to shake at all. But it's going to sound good on small speakers like an iPhone, but it's not going to shake the subwoofers the way we want it to shake. So watch that distortion plugin that you're using on your 808, because it's crushing your low end and it's not allowing it to breathe and pump the way that you want it to pump. Also, your snare. The snare on that beat didn't quite fit. The intro sounded good. You had a little break beat. But when the beat dropped, that snare, I wasn't quite feeling it. It took me out of the beat. And I want a snare that actually complements the beat. So let's go ahead and let's go through your sound library, trying to find a snare that actually fits the texture of the beat. And sometimes it's as simple as playing the beat, letting it run, and then just dragging and dropping a new snare in your DAW, or if it allows you to demo it. Sometimes you don't need to listen to the snare in isolation. Try to add the snare in context with the rest of the music and just go real fast. Don't think, just feel. Boom, that's the snare. Okay, that's the snare that fits. That's what I'm going to move forward with. So just a couple of tweaks there to the beat, Dancer Main, and that's going to have you all good to go. All right, let me go ahead and add J-Zo here. Okay, the officials, did you send a beat instrumental or did you send me a full song? So let me know if you sent me a beat instrumental or you sent a full song. Let me go ahead and get J-Zo's tracks here. All right, there we go. Got one. And let me get the second one. All right, let's see. All right, so gonna go ahead and add that. And in a second, we're going to get to Dancing Main's second submission here. While I get everything pulled up, ladies and gentlemen, of course, make sure you go to DesmondASounds.com to get yourself some FL Studio Patcher plugins, get yourself some loop kits, get yourself some free guides on how to use Pro Tools, FL Studio, all that good stuff. You can get that at DesmondASounds.com. So just wanted you guys to be aware if you weren't. And also, I have a one-on-one coaching option that you could see there. So if you need more help, then you can go to DesmondASounds.com/coaching, and I'll be glad to help you out even more further one-on-one. We can go over multiple beats and save you a whole lot of time. So those are a couple of options that you have there as well. And of course, if you haven't checked out the last Made in the Studio podcast episode, make sure you check it out. It was with Darrell Banks, very talented producer. Been selling Type Beats since before Type Beats was Type Beats. He has a lot of good game for you guys to check out as well. All right, let me take a look here. All right. The officials, this is a live beat review show. I'm real hesitant on full songs, so if you can just send me an instrumental, it's a remix to a song. I've had issues with that. The officials, I apologize, my brother, but I can only have instrumentals on this show. So please, the officials, if I can get for you to, I mean, they can delete my whole channel, man. So, they could delete my whole channel, man. So please. Oh, am I coming in a little quiet? Let me cut up my mic just a little bit. Testing 1 2 3. Hopefully I'm coming in clear now. Okay, so yeah, so please send me an instrumental. It's not the beat, it's just a vocal. It's the copyright system is crazy on YouTube, so please send me an instrumental when you can. So moving forward, we have Dancing Main's second submission of the night with, this one is Hold Me Tight. So we're gonna go ahead and check out "Hold Me Tight" by Dancing Maine, and we're gonna give our feedback. So let me go ahead and mute my mic, and let's take a listen. Ladies and gentlemen, that was the second submission of the night by Dancing Maine. That one was called "Hold Me Tight." All right, so Dancing Maine, with your second submission here, Dancing Maine. So I enjoyed the beat. When I hear these beats from you, Dancing Maine, the first thing I'm thinking is, and I've given you this feedback before, what I think is this guy needs his own recording artist, and you need to lock in with that person and y'all develop your own sound. I understand you guys are sometimes in different countries. There's not a music scene. Man, there's loop makers out there that I've interviewed for my podcast. Make sure you go to the Made in Studio podcast on all podcast platforms, and you can check it out here on my YouTube channel. But there's loop makers who are in different countries, and they're able to get in contact with producers who got motion through the internet. So Dancing Maine, I'm not sure what country you're in, but if I can get for you to lock in with a artist, and you could become that artist's main producer, and then you guys can craft your own sound together, because you have a distinct sound and you just need an artist on there. Dancing Maine, when I hear your beats, you have your thumbprint on your beats, and it takes a while to do. So shout out to you, Dancing Maine. As far as constructive feedback, Dancing Maine, I can tell you're hitting your master bus really hard in your DAW. So pull that back a little bit. I want us to have some breathing room. Like I said, you sound like you need your own artist. So if the engineer's dropping that in Pro Tools and you're just crushing the master, it's going to impact how well the final song sounds. Because we do all want, as producers, to have that artist get the track out or buy the entire beat. But to be honest, a lot of people don't, and they'll even release it, and it's going to say produced by Dancing Maine. And that's part of the reason why I harp on you guys so much to not crush your masters, because, you know, I use something like Soothe too to kind of help smoothing out the top end on crushed masters. But please make it easier by not hitting your master so hard. We have that digital distortion that it throws off the music. So let's work on that. And also on top of that, the crushing the master, I still hear that distorted buzz on your 808s. So let's work on that. I understand that you're trying to develop your own unique sound, but please, that buzzy 808, at least dial it back. If you're not gonna dial it back, then you need to dial it back. I can't cap. You got to dial back that distortion on the 808. It's just a little too much. It's just a little too much. So, can I listen to your beat? What's up, DMG? What's up, DMG? What's going on? Shout out to you, DMG. We got some feedback by Jay Zo on the beat. The officials, can I listen to it in MuStream? That's doing a lot, man. That's kind of throwing off the experience for the viewers. So what I'll do is this. I'm gonna do you a favor, the officials, since you did tell me that my forum was closed and that would have messed up the stream. This is what I'm gonna do for you, the officials. I'm going to listen to your song and I have your email. So what I'm going to do is tonight, I'm going to listen to your song and I'm going to email you back feedback. So that's my word. That's my word as a man. I'm going to do that. So the officials, I'm going to listen to your song, not live on the stream. After the stream, I'm going to give you my feedback tonight. So expect an email from me tonight. So contact at Desmond A Beats is going to email you tonight with his feedback. So look out for that. I'm going to do that for you, my brother. All right. Absolutely, Jay Zo. Absolutely, Jay Zo. All right. So speaking of that, we're going to be moving forward to Jay Zo. Haven't heard from you in a minute, my brother. You out there in Miami doing it big. Doing it big. All right. My man Jay Zo out there moving and grooving Miami, but he still got time to cook up beats. So there's no excuses for you other producers. Y'all are not in Miami. Y'all are not in Miami. Y'all are making excuses. So, ladies and gentlemen, we have Jay Zo on the beat with his first submission of the night called Man on Fire. So we're going to listen to the submission by Jay Zo on the beat. Then I'm going to go ahead and give my feedback. So let's go ahead and play this track. I'm going to mute my mic and we're going to take a listen. So, Man on Fire by Jay Zo. Let's go ahead and take a listen. Ladies and gentlemen, that was Jay Zo on the beat with Man on Fire. Shout out to you, J Zo. Glad to hear another beat from you on the Heat Check. All right, J Zo. That beat, couple things. So the first thing, the intro was really quiet. The intro was super quiet to the point that it kind of felt off. Like if we were in the studio and I cranked that beat up and then the beat hit, it would just kind of throw us off. Like I would have to go to the big fader and then lower the volume just because it was so quiet. So I love contrast, but let's have the contrast be a bit more balanced. So let's crank up the volume of the intro a little bit, and then the impact is just gonna be in addition to the intro. It was just a little too quiet and it kind of threw me off. I didn't quite know what was happening. And especially J-Zo, I believe you rap as well. You know, it's all about vibes. It's all about energy. And I wouldn't want the artist to be like, I don't know, maybe, I don't know. No, I want them to feel the whole ride. I want them to feel the whole journey and get pulled into the beat by the intro. So let's update the intro section here. It's just a bit too quiet. As far as the beat itself, one thing I would say is I really enjoyed the drum bounce, the drum swing. I really enjoyed the way it was moving around. It kind of gave me a little bit of drill vibes, but it was still like kind of had like its own feel. So you didn't go drill. It was kind of like this. It's kind of something different, but I could tell that you were inspired a little bit by drill by the way you did the drum bounce. I enjoyed that a lot. I feel like the drum selection, let's experiment with like a different kick and a different snare. I want it to be like snappier. So speaking of drill, let's do this. If you can listen to just, you know, popular like UK drill tracks out there on YouTube or whatever, and listen to how snappy those snares are, and listen to how the kicks sound. I want you to go into your sound library and replace what you have in this beat with something just a bit more punchier, a bit snappier, so it can match the texture of the eeriness of this beat. So let's it's not quite drill. This beat is not quite drill, but it's drill inspired. It's drill-esque. So let's play on that by listening to the sound selection of those drill beat makers, those drill productions. Go into your DAW and swap out some sounds. Let's just get a bit more of this, like the snappiness, the hardness of those drill beats. Another piece of feedback, I kind of felt like the beat didn't have much variation. It almost felt like it looped a little bit. So if we can kind of do some more breakdowns, so we can have some tensions and anticipation. You know, I say sometimes you got to drop the snare out for a little bit and just let the kicks go. Sometimes you got to drop out the kicks and the snare. You know, sometimes you got to have total silence and then have a reverse cymbal and then have the beat come back and hit. You know, all those different things create tension, so things don't kind of feel like one long scene. You know, we kind of want peaks and valleys. We want to be pulled into the beat. So sometimes we just need to do those little things to create tension. I may need to create a video on that on my YouTube channel, creating tension as a producer. So I may need to do that to kind of drill the point home. And other than that, those were really my main points of feedback for that particular beat. The main thing that kind of got to me was the intro, and then the fact that it kind of felt somewhat loopy. I wanted to kind of have a bit more tension. All right. Oh, okay. So set the wrong file for this one. Okay. So, you know, hey, J-Zo, I'm always going to be here. So if you want to submit to next week's Heat Check, I'll be here. Be glad to listen to that beat, listen to the other file of that beat, and you know, see what it sounds like. But we got another submission here by Jay Zo. Let me go ahead and pull it up here on my screen. Second submission of the night by Jay Zo was called Lost Emotion. So I'm going to go ahead and play this beat. Second submission of the night by Jay Zo, Lost Emotion. I'm going to mute my mic. I'm going to go ahead and take a listen and give our feedback. So let's go ahead and take a listen.
Jay Zo on the beat, man. I know you were tall, but trying to go hard. I know you were tall, but trying to go hard.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was the second submission of the night by Jay Zo on the beat. That was called Lost Emotion. Second submission of the night on the heat check by Jay Zo on the beat. Now, that particular beat, couple things with that beat. I like the texture. I like the vibe. It took me into a mental space. I can almost see the scene that you are emotionally trying to paint with the instrumentation, and that's good. That means you're making a cohesive picture in my mind with the music, and the title, of course, helps out a lot. As a matter of fact, I've had a couple of artists buy beats from me, and they name the beats after the beat name. So the fact that you have everything cohesive is going to help you out if an artist wants to buy that beat and use it for their project. So that's just kind of a tip for people who don't know that. Now, as far as constructive feedback for that beat, one, the piano sound was cool. It didn't sound stock. It was cool, but I feel like if I can get for you, Jay Zo, like, kind of just I always recommend just hitting that button in the DAW. Just go through different sounds, play with different piano sounds. Whatever piano sound you had in there, just, try swapping out different sounds in your whatever VST you're using. Just try it out. Just click, 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 and listen. Okay, this feels a little bit better. Okay, let me try this piano patch. I'm gonna use this piano patch instead of the old one. So try that. And also, I felt like I heard a couple of clashing notes in the piano, not clashing musically, but clashing like the release time. Like some of the notes were kind of bumping into each other. So kind of watch how the piano notes are looking in the piano roll. If you can just kind of check that, watch that, You might have to mute everything and listen. Like, okay, I know what Desmond was talking about. These notes right here kind of like hit each other. You know, it's still musically correct, but it's kind of bumping into each other, and I want to kind of let things kind of have their own place. Um, another point of feedback for that beat. I think you're doing something that I used to do. I think you're doing something that I used to do in that particular beat. And let me see if I can show you here. Let me see if I can show you here so it can be a bit of a better example here. I'm so glad I got a new Mac so I can show you guys stuff. So let me show you here. All right, so I'm not gonna let this play out loud, but I want to show you what I think you're doing, Jay-Zo. Okay. I'm gonna put this on 1. All right. I think you're doing something I used to do. Let's play this so I can give you an example. Okay. Let me make sure you guys can see this on OBS. Okay. You had another crazy piano sound, Jay-Zo. That's funny. Yeah, man. Gotta just experiment. Okay, so Jay-Zo, I think you're doing what this thing that I used to do. So you guys can see my meter there on the screen, right? You see the green meter going. You see the green meter moving all around. So what can happen is while you're making a beat, you have your 808 pretty loud and it's taking up a good amount of headroom. Matter of fact, let me just drive this a bit further up to drive my point home. I don't think yours is that loud. I don't think it's hitting the red in your DAW. So this is what can happen sometimes when you're making a beat. So you could be making a beat, then you have your 808 hitting loud, but you don't want to deconstruct everything to give yourself more headroom. This may be what you're doing. I think this is what you're doing. What can happen is you can make a beat, you can love it, you have the 808 hitting and it's taking up a whole bunch of headroom, but you don't want to deconstruct everything, but you want things to still be loud and you still want things to be hitting. So you kind of don't quite know what to do. So you try to find the best way to make it even louder. And in that process, it can be a bit of a pumping sound. Pumping is like essentially, in this context, is kind of bad compression. So it sounds like you had your instruments taking up a whole bunch of headroom. The 808 low sub frequencies take a lot of energy in the beat, and it makes it difficult to push things even louder. And if you try to do that, it can kind of make that pumping sound. And so that's what I'm hearing. So this is what I've learned to do to get things louder. So if you're cranking out a beat, you're like, dang. And even this is the tricky part about gain, staging, and volume. This is the tricky part. It can sound great, and then you can even crank things up even louder in your DAW or on your interface, making things sound pretty good. And it's like, dang, what do I do? How I get things even louder? And it's already jamming, but my 808 is taking up a gang of headroom, but I don't want to, what can I do? So this is what I recommend doing. So if you have a beat and the 808 is taking up a bunch of headroom like this, what you can do is you can just highlight all your sounds that you have going on in your beat, highlight all the sounds, and then I'm going to pull this down. So then we're going to see that we have more green, so we have more headroom. All right, so now we have more headroom, right? So now we can make things even louder. And this is something I call having an anchor sound. So what is an anchor sound? Let's say I have this kick here. I'm going to put the kick on 2. Put the kick on 2. All right, so let's do that. Okay, so I have the kick on 2. I'm going to name this kick. And then we have the 808 on 1. 808. Okay, we have the kick on 2 and the 808 on 1. So what I want to figure out here, especially since 808s take up so much low frequencies, I want to find a way to, I like to use my kick as my anchor sound. So I know typically if my kick is around, I usually have my kick like around 12. So if my kick is at 12 and my 808 is near 12, I know my 808 is kind of getting a bit loud, a little bit too loud for my personal taste. That's just me. So I would try to find a way to get my 808 in relationship to my anchor sound, which is my kick. So this is kind of like my North Star. I know that I have my kick hitting around 12, 13, and I want my 808 just lower than that. So now that I have my kick as my anchor sound, when I unmute and I have all my sound going, I can, make sure that everything is more than likely going to still sound balanced. If things don't sound balanced, then that means you probably have some competing frequencies you need to scoop out, like maybe a string or a sample where you can come in to your DAW and kind of like scoop out some sounds a little bit. Maybe have a string that's hitting like the bass frequencies. You just want to dip out a little bit. What you can do now is you can make things louder with a limiter. Limiters are a bit tricky. The main thing with limiters is you just don't want it snapping off your transients. So what do I mean by snapping off the transients? When you oh, that's way too much. When you see all this gain reduction here on your transients, you're hitting it too hard. So you want to pull back and maybe even let it just kind of kiss the transients a bit. Right? So now it's just kissing the transients, and then we can, oh, now the transients move. I typically use a different one, a different limiter, but this is just a stock limiter. I'm just gonna move the ceiling. So as you can see here, my anchor sound, my kick is there, and then my 808 is here, but everything is going through my limiter. So I know that now that I have it loud, I still know where my 808 is. I still know where my kick is. And now I have a ton of headroom that I'm controlling with my limiter. So my limiter isn't smashing the music. I'm just essentially using it to get things louder. But I still can look at my faders and see all kinds of headroom. So I'm in control of what's going on. So hopefully that was clear. That I kind of just went off on a tangent, but let me check the chat. Okay, so sorry if I went on a tangent, but that's just an example of how I manage loudness and the master bus, so I'm in control. So that the 808 isn't super loud. I don't know where everything is. I'm just kind of chasing my tail to kind of get things balanced and loud. So that's just a tip that I do. So, you can give it a try, see if you rock with it, and see if it works for you. All right, so shout out to you, Jay-Zo. Thank you so much for submitting on the heat check. I'm glad you enjoyed the feedback, Jay-Zo. Appreciate you. Ladies and gentlemen, okay. Well, this is a pretty active heat check show. And of course, the officials, like I said, I am going to follow up with you. Yes, Jay-Zo, I'm putting the limiter on the master bus. So it's I'm almost using the limiter like just like almost like a volume knob to a degree. It's almost like a volume knob. Nah, it was on the master bus, Jay-Zo. It was on the master bus. Yep, it was on the master bus. Man, maybe I need to make a video on that too. I need to take some notes here. Let's do this. Hey, what was the first thing I said? I need to make a video on tension tension, and let's just say gain staging. I could maybe cook these up this Sunday, make these videos this Sunday. Nah, Jay-Z, I was putting it on the master bus. So let me. FL Studio is weird like that. It looks like I understand why it looked like that. FL Studio is real weird. The mixer is weird. The mixer on FL Studio is very weird. So I get why you thought I was doing that. But no, it was on the master bus. So right here. Master. Right there. On the master bus. Now it's just doing that. And then I'm using the gain knob. It just moves the ceiling. So as you can see here, the master bus is getting super loud, but I know exactly where my 808 is. No matter what, I know where my 808 is. I know where my kick is. My kick is my anchor sound. I call it an anchor sound. It's just a term I made up. And then if I have my sample, my keys, my everything like that, I know everything is working in relationship to my kick. So my kick is like my North Star. So if I'm playing a beat and then my kick starts to get muddy or weird and I can't quite find my kick and I'm like, what happened to my kick? It's not hitting no more. I know that it's not a volume issue. I know I'm not going to go back and chase my tail and make the kick louder or the kick quieter. I know it's right here. My kick is hitting right around 12. I'm like, okay, since my kick is disappearing, maybe that sample just muddied it up. Or maybe those strings I added just muddied it up. Or maybe, you know, that synth pad I just added muddied it up. But since I'm using the master bus as a control, like a volume control, I know that I'm getting things loud, but I still have my headroom here. And I'm managing volume on the master bus. So I can even kiss the transients, right, like that. You can see it. Just barely kissing the transients. Some producers do this and they just smash it, but don't do that. Just kiss it like that. Bam. So you get it nice and loud. So let me check the chat out. Okay, you've been putting limiter on different tracks? Oh, you use Logic. That's interesting. Logic, your beats don't sound like you use Logic. Because Logic usually kind of sounds like you have a nice edgy sound. And Logic, I tend to not hear people make really like dark emotional sounds out of Logic. So that's interesting that you're using your tools in your own unique way in Logic. I like Logic. Logic is cool though. Logic is cool. Logic is a cool DAW. Got really good stock like instruments in Logic. Kind of miss it, to be honest. I miss Logic. Yeah. Logic is cool, man. What was that one? Dang, there was this one plugin in Logic I really liked. It was dang, I forgot. It's the one with the knobs on it. Was it E something? E something? I used to really rock with that, man. Yeah. Man, I did a couple songs for some artists in Logic. Now think about a couple beats I made. People really liked in Logic. People really liked in Logic, man. And Logic got those loops. Logic got those drum loops, man. Sheesh. Man, people like FL Studio. Logic got them drum loops. FL Studio is good for making a bunch of beats quickly. You can do that in FL. But Logic, you can do a whole song in Logic. Technically, you can do it in FL Studio, but I'm not finna learn how to record somebody in FL Studio. That's crazy. But shout out to the people who do that. But you can record a whole song in Logic. Dang, I do miss Logic. Jay-Z, you got me missing Logic, man. Sheesh. Man, I do miss Logic. Piano roll in Logic is kind of weird. That's what gets a lot of people in the FL Studio. The piano roll is really good in the FL Studio too. So yeah, man, Logic, y'all got like horns and pianos and stuff in Logic. We don't have no damn horns in FL Studio. Making a beat in Pro Tools, which I used to record, it's not fun. It's not fun. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, I got a few potential heavy hitters joining the Made in the Studio podcast coming up soon. Like mentioned before, man, it is so challenging getting the scheduling together. That's the main thing. So, guys, if you're thinking about starting a podcast and not just music and anything, just that scheduling, getting the scheduling aligned with life and all that stuff, that's the challenging part. And that's why so many podcasts are here today and gone tomorrow. Sometimes it's just like, man, it could be a challenge. It could be a challenge to get people, but it's not the fault of anyone either. It's just life, scheduling. So, you know, that's why so many podcasts are here today, gone tomorrow, man. So go to Made in the Studio on Spotify. Check out the latest episode with Darrell Banks. Gave a lot of game on type beats, selling samples, selling loops, staying connected to artists, long-term, keeping those relationships going. Yeah, I love Logic too, man. I love Logic too, man. Dang, I might, man, Jay-Z, you got me thinking I might have to take some time over the weekend, download Logic and give it a try, man. Oh, I miss Logic, man. Sheesh. I do. Man, Logic, you can make your own sound patches and they sound fire. Like stock sounds, and you can like just build whole things of like, I can have my own patch section. I forgot the name of that VST in Logic though. It's like E something. Yeah, I remember that. Dang, I made a pretty big song for an indie artist out here. And it was all Logic now, think about it. It was all Logic. Sheesh. Man. But those sounds Logic too. All right, enough daydreaming about Logic. So looks like it is about that time. Yep, we right on time, man. So it's about that time. Jay-Z, shout out to you and thank you for helping me reminisce about my good old Logic days and all the beats that artists love that I made in Logic. Might have to try it out again. But yeah, man. Hopefully you can make it, Jay-Z. You know, send in your beats, and if you can't make it, you know, check out the playback, leave a comment, you know, be glad to give you feedback regardless. So yeah, once again, shout out to everybody who joined the Heat Check. Everyone have a great, safe Labor Day weekend. I want to see you guys back next Friday here at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the Heat Check right here on YouTube. And of course, the officials, I am going to get to you before I go to sleep tonight. I'm going to give you your feedback. So yeah, that's it, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, the forum is going to be open for next week's submissions about 10 minutes after I shut down this stream. Make sure you submit for next week's Heat Check, and I'll be glad to give you my feedback. Shout out to all the producers who submitted their beats. Thank you so much for allowing me to give you feedback. I'm Desmond A. Make sure you go to DesmondASounds.com for everything that you need. I'll see y'all next week. Have a great, safe Labor Day weekend, y'all. I'll see y'all soon. Peace.